I am Dave Henning with the Fresh Start Podcast, fresh ideas for business and personal growth. Today, my guest is Marshall Adler from Loveland, Colorado. You are a father, husband, and pro local SEO expert. You got gazillion followers, C-level followers, and you've got all this information. Sky High Media, that's you're the founder and CEO. So welcome, Marshall. Great to have you here.
Thanks so much. I appreciate your time today.
So tell me how you got started in this business. What's your background and how did you get started in this channel of marketing? I love marketing. I'm fascinated by it.
Well, I've always been interested in sales from an early age. My dad taught me how to sell leather. He used to be a leather manufacturer, and his platform was the flea markets. So for some reason, he made a killing at flea markets. Every weekend, he would have, 5, 10 grand in sales. And that just was his platform because he knew how to pitch the market. And he would get so tired of working, that he would want to take a nap. So at 9 years old, he'd train me on how to negotiate and how to make sales and how to talk to people. And basically, I was out there selling for him while he was sleeping. And I'd be a 9-year-old kid with 2 grand in my pocket, counting money back to people. Yeah, it was an intense kind of upbringing. But that kind of install of sales led me to a life of doing sales. So pretty much every job I had since I was 14 has been some type of sales job or marketing job. And then I was working in 2009 for a construction cleanup company in San Jose, California, and I was doing marketing for them. And I got invited to a party, and the party was pretty wild, pretty intense. Won't get into it, but it was a lot of drunk people everywhere. And the next morning, I woke up and I had to go to the bathroom, and I tried to jump over somebody that was laying in front of a doorway, which I thought was the entrance to the bathroom, but yeah. But in midair, I realized that they were laying in front of the entrance to a stairwell.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And I basically rolled down the stairs for a while and then stopped halfway down in a lot of pain, and tailbone hurt like hell and all that stuff. And I sat up, and there was some guy standing at the end of the corridor smoking a cigarette, blowing it out the window. And he was like, he acted like nothing had happened to me. He was all in his head. But I looked at him and I was like, oh, and I was like making sounds and stuff. And he looked at me and he was like, can you believe Google? And I was like, what? And that was his response. That was his, he turned around and he was smoking a cigarette. He looks at me and he goes, can you believe Google? And I'm like, what? And he's like, I would give anything if there was someone out there who could not just put me on the first page of Google, but keep me there all year without, when updates occur at Google, without having to worry about falling down. He's like, I spent 40 grand with this SEO company, and it took them 4 years, and we finally got to page 1, and this new update that just came out overnight while we all slept and had fun killed my whole entire presence on Google. And he's like, now I have to start all over again.
What year was this? What year is it?
That was 2009, in June of 2009.
Is that when they changed their algorithm?
Yes, that was they launched. That was when they launched Penguin and started doing link building algorithms.
I did a blog about that algorithm. They killed some major websites. Unbelievable.
Tons, millions of sites. And so, yes, that's very smart. That's exactly when that was. And so, so then basically I said, well, that guy would pay anything to be able to stay on page 1. I'll figure that out. I'll figure out how to sell that. And I initially started faking it until I made it. I printed up cards while I worked at another company and went door to door and asked people if they wanted my help. It was grassroots and stuff, but here I am 12 years later with a thriving local SEO enterprise. And my product is the only one on the market that reaches page 1 in 90 days or less, despite algorithm updates. So the best part is not only do I make it happen in 90 days, as I promise in writing on every contract, but I'm the only SEO who can keep you there all year. despite algorithm updates. So essentially, I fulfilled that guy's fantasy from 2009.
So it was a great thing that you fell down the stairs, but the key question,
Yes.
did you ever get a chance to pee?
No. No, I don't think I did that day. I think that what he said to me like instantly sobered me up, and I was just like, okay, time to go home.
It's interesting that you said that because I was selling radio advertising for a San Francisco radio station in about, well, it's been after that, but there was a major website that they were doing, you know, $1 million a day or whatever, and then they got killed by that Penguin update. They split off and started another website for real estate, for people to research renting real estate properties in the entire San Francisco Bay Area, using their skills in creating this website with their background. If I could remember the name of, oh, if it comes to me, I'll tell you. But you would definitely know who it was. They're actually still online. That other company.
Oh,
But
wow,
man, they had to totally recover from all those losses. Just it was never the same again until you came along.
Right. Until I came along with the product. The hardest part for my company isn't the product and whether the results are there. The hardest part is reaching enough people in mass to accept something new. Because in the marketing world, you know, there's like everyone and their mother is doing blogging, social media, paid ads, reviews, directories, articles, citations. I'm not saying that stuff doesn't work, because we all know it does, but it takes years and years of commitment, of daily and weekly efforts for it to work. And most people, when they invest in a marketing person who's going to help them rank higher on Google, they don't have more than 90 days capacity mentally to see results. So that's why I live up to the 90-day guarantee that I promise. I'm the only SEO in the country that promises 90 days or less to page one. And I'm very picky about who I work with.
And as you know, a business owner, they don't want to spend all that time doing multiple things and even to hire it out when they're trying to just run their business and keep their employees busy and all that kind of stuff. And it's for the average middle to small size businesses, it can just be taxing. Let's just say it that way, and it'd be a more kind word to say. So the problem I see with you is that you're using all white hat techniques and no black hat. I'm just teasing.
No, you know, a lot of people have asked me about that. They've asked me about, you know, how can you promise page one results where nobody else can?
Right.
And I say, well, you know, let me show you a demo, because at the end of the day, the behind the scenes demo of what I do really comes down to, it's about choosing your key phrases wisely. That's really what it is. It's just about knowing when someone who is motivated to take action is searching on Google. If you can get content in front of those people, then you don't have to pay for ads, because if you rank page one, you get the clicks for free. So at the end of the day, the only reason I promise page one results in 90 days or less is because I give Google exactly what they want versus what the consumer might want. So I'm more of a technical SEO expert in that I do a lot of stuff behind the scenes in the back end coding of the website for Google to recognize it and understand that I'm promoting this as an educational entity on your search engine.
You said something very, very important, and that is in regard to what you just explained, is that now people are specifically looking for things in a specific way, and it's not the old, like I sold radio and TV ads for years and years. And it was basically you take the Arbitron or the, you know, or the TV, the TV one, and you just kind of shotgun blast it out there and hope that it sticks to somebody. Right. Instead of very targeted, very specific, looking for the people that are ready to buy, basically. Am I hearing you correctly?
Yeah, well, I mean, essentially, like if you're a service-based professional, let's just say, throw it out there, you're a mortgage broker, you want people that are searching for jumbo loans, you know, and because the commissions are big and they can fund big deals. Well, if someone goes to Google and they type jumbo loans in Chicago, Illinois, they're searching for someone who serves that market, who offers that product. And I can make your website show up for that if you're a mortgage broker when the person is searching at that time. So you literally are showing up at the exact time someone who is motivated to take action is searching. Now, a motivated user is defined by someone who types out 4, 5, 6, 7 words at a time. It's always between 4 to 7. And in that a number of words, they always include a location of where they want to do business. That is how you know it's local SEO. Local SEO is defined by locational search.
It's phrases, not keyword, just individual keywords. I worked briefly with a company over in Sacramento that was teaching that kind of a concept at one point.
They might have been teaching my concepts. You never know.
Yeah, they stole it from me. I know they stole it from me. I'm gonna talk to them about that. Still know those guys.
That's awesome.
You said you're very selective about who you work with. Who do you work with?
So primarily we work with like mortgage brokers, real estate agents, top producers only, like not a new agent starting out, but someone who's been in the game for at least 3 years and wants to take over new territories. Brokers, home inspectors, pretty much everyone in the real estate sector we work with, some financial like planners and guides and consultants and like business coaches and consultants. And then draining it all the way to the other side of the spectrum, I help e-commerce sites, sell their products because, once you can rank a website for their products, the sky's the limit after that. Then people go to search, they type a product in and you're page one and they buy. So there's that. And then I've also dabbled in legal SEO. Like I've helped a lot of attorneys succeed online. Some of the biggest names in Colorado's criminal attorneys used to be my clients. And I help, doctors and dentists, like orthodontists. I have an orthodontist client who gets over 14,000 visitors a month to his website just from Colorado alone. Yeah. He told me that he couldn't live without 100 to 125 new patients per month.
Really?
Yeah. So I'd say that I need to start figuring out how to charge more for what I do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I've never been good at that.
I've had these conversations with people, and I tell the story of my artist friend back in Tennessee who was an amazing artist, and he had a barn full of his paintings, and he couldn't figure out why he wasn't selling them. And he actually had a conversation, and I'm repeating myself, I've said this on other podcasts, with Alex Haley, who wrote the book Roots, which became a TV movie. And Alex told him, look, your prices are way too low. So he raised his prices way up, quite frankly, and he started selling these same exact paintings like hotcakes just by getting the price point correct.
Right. And I've always failed at that. When it comes to pricing my product, I don't really know how to do it correctly. I've checked with other people, but there's no other SEO in the country that I've talked to that is willing to promise in writing page one rankings, because you risk your reputation on every contract. If you don't do it, nobody's ever going to trust you again. Even if they don't know that one client didn't succeed, putting it out there that you can still do it when you can't, it's eventually it's just all going to crash. So I've been able to rank clients for 12 years consistently, page one, doing the same exact thing over and over and over again, despite all the algorithm updates that come out. I got very lucky early on when I discovered a code, a 3-letter code that was published on Google's Google's blog that they took down after a day because they realized they had given their secret sauce away, but they don't know that I saw it. So
I'm going to call Mr. Google himself this afternoon and turn you in, man.
No, I'll tell you. So this code, it said that if you want to rank page one quickly, despite algorithm updates, despite having to do years of content publishing and blogging and branding of your business, if you want to rank page one quickly, you need to show Google 3 things. Just 3 things: relevancy, popularity, and authenticity. That's it. So relevancy is determined by the key phrases you target on your website through content that is benefits rich, talking about solutions. And popularity is determined by who you can get to link to that content after you publish it. So if I can get CNN or Fox News, which are one of my link partners, if I can get Fox News to link to one of my clients, then Google will be like, okay, instantly popular, because this really popular news media channel is voting for you to rank for your keywords. Okay, like then they check authenticity. Authenticity is they go to the guy who gave you the link and they ask them, did you give this link or did they buy it from you?
Oh,
yeah. If you buy backlinks, your whole life crashes.
I recognize the word backlinking, and that is an area where somebody could basically go on Fiverr or whatever, just buy backlinks.
Those are all extremely unethical backlinkers who do blog comments and trash links that aren't authentic. They don't own the websites they're publishing from. I have 400 link partners. All of my link partners are vetted and qualified. Every single one of them own their platforms. So my editor, like, I'm friends with even the LinkedIn news editor, let's say my editor in chief at, AB Newswire, he might say, okay, Marshall, this is approved. And suddenly it winds up on Fox, CNN, ABC, and all these amazing sites. And those people will vouch that your content and your link is authentic as approved through the editor in chief, not, oh, this person paid us, because I don't pay anyone. I just have connections to editors in chief. And the only reason I have those connections is because when I was in a BNI group about 4 or 5 years ago, I met a guy who was an ad executive at Channel 2. And him and I started networking and working together. And he got me on television on Channel 2 and on Fox 31 doing interviews and stuff like this, but doing interviews with real hosts and stuff. And so I was doing Channel 2, Fox 31 for a long time. And I'll be honest with you, like, television is great and you meet a lot of amazing people. And I think that's the biggest gain I got from it. But don't go into television ads thinking you're going to make money, because it doesn't work. People would stop me and my wife out to eat and say, you're that guy from television. And I'd be like, oh, cool. You want to buy it? They'd be like, no.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I got away from television because it just wasn't where I needed to be. I needed to be behind the desk working for my clients. But End of the day, that's the answer to that.
Yeah, and like you say, television now, it's not really targeted. Like, the major networks are not particularly targeted per se. When I was working with Fran Tarkenton Financial out of Atlanta, I wrote and produced a TV commercial, and because of my background in advertising sales, I negotiated just with cable TV, which is way less expensive than the networks. They actually threw in studio time to record me walking around and doing this commercial. And I see people all over the place at church or wherever, like, hey, I saw you on TV. Yeah, you want to buy something? Not really.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, all it does is get you attention, but if the attention doesn't turn into dollars unless you have a product that is in extremely high demand. If I went on television during COVID and I had said, and for a limited time, you can buy Lysol wipes from me directly, I would be rich overnight.
Right. Yeah.
But unfortunately, that wasn't the case, and I didn't capitalize on the pandemic the way a lot of people did on eBay and stuff. I saw a listing for a Lysol can on eBay for $1,500. And I said, people are literally price gouging, and that's just horrible.
That's absolutely right. And especially, you probably, if you just had thrown in, if you order before midnight tonight, you also get the Ginsu knives. And then you would have had you would have been rich.
I sold those knives for an hour.
For an hour.
Yeah, I went to a meeting and there was an interview for those knives, and I said, so how much is the pay? And they were like, well, with commissions and stuff, it averages out to like $9 an hour. I was like, $9 an hour to cut myself? No way.
Wow. Wow. I still want to ask about the leather thing. Leather training. That is That is really cool. I think I'm going to get back in the flea markets myself for some, but
It really is. It really is profitable. You know, the flea market, you know, it taught me to hustle because those people are coming by and you have to get their attention. And
oh yeah,
a lot of people don't do that anymore. Like they just stand there and pray that someone shows up. But if someone was to look at our leather designs and stuff and they were to stop even for a second or even look, as a 9-year-old, I would run out behind the desk and I'd come and grab them and I'd grab their hand and they'd look at me like, what's this kid doing? You know? I'd be like, come over and look at this stuff. Come look at this. My dad makes it, you know, and people would just literally just fall in love. It was really hard. There were some times where I'd be like unable to count the money back correctly. And, you know, my dad was passed out, you know, and I had to figure it out. So, but
I've been to a lot of trade shows, and I'll just see people sitting behind there on their cell phone, and a table sitting there, and nobody's doing anything. But that's the way I was trained on trade shows, was to get in front of the table, connect with people, talk to them, you know, and you know.
Yeah. So that was my whole upbringing, was, you know, hustle and never take no for an answer and just always persist. I mean, you know, a lot of people don't know this about me, even though I have been in business for a long time and I have a huge roster of clients and I'm kind of, you know, quote unquote, you know, small business famous on LinkedIn. You know, I still do grassroots cold calls every single day. So I never lose that skill. Every day I do 200 cold dials a day. It takes me an hour and a half to physically dial 200 dials, and I'm only looking for a specific answer from the people I call. When they answer the phone, I know exactly what they have to say when they answer the phone for me to know that they're going to say yes to me. And if it's any other answer, it's next number.
Wow, that is classic old school training, which is actually yeah, and that's not, you know, so many things have gotten thrown by the wayside because, well, you know, we've got smartphones now, we've got AI now, we've got the, you know, but the basic rules of selling remain the same, and you're doing that. I'm really impressed, man.
Thank you very much.
Right. Yeah, that's very cool. So yeah, you've inspired me to get my act together. My big word is persistence.
It is, yeah. It's all about persistence.
It's easy to take your dad's nap and just, you know, lay off for a while, but persistence and, like you say, knowing what to say and how to say it. My biggest sale in the radio was when I did not come in with a brochure and did not come in with any station literature, and I did not explain any of the features like how tall our tower was and who the morning guy was, and none of that. I just came in with a legal pad and sat down and just asked questions, as many questions as I could ask, took notes, and I didn't try to pitch them anything. I said, I'll be back, give me another appointment, and I'll put together something that will make sense specifically for you, custom designed for your needs, and not me pitching features, but benefits.
Right.
Is that what you do?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. Same type of thing, you know, same type of stuff. When you were talking, it reminded me of when I used to sell, you may have heard of this product. It's called Kirby vacuums.
Of course. My grandmother had one.
Yeah. So what they do around where I live and stuff is they recruit young people who are into sales who want to go door to door and sell Kirby vacuums, right? And this is like, I'm 37 now, and so this was like when I was 17, you know, and 20 years ago, this was a big thing. Kirby vacuums door to door was a big thing. Now, the first time I sold it, I quit that day because it was at night. They had me knocking doors and I was getting rejection nonstop. And when I told the guy that I quit, he made me walk home.
Oh my gosh.
From where he had driven us to, which was 3 towns over.
Oh my.
That was my first experience. The second experience of selling Kirby vacuums is I finally got into the house, but I was so nervous about how to find the pain points that it was a loss of time and money for me. But on the third time that I sold Kirby's, then they'll take you every single time, even if you quit and have a bad experience. Look, you come back. Oh, you're back. Come on in. So I went back the third time, and I found the pain point, and I became the best salesperson in their office next to another kid who was a pro like me. And what it was is that what homeowners cared the most about that got them to buy this $2,000 vacuum was the bedroom and the bed bugs in the mattress.
Ooh.
Right. Because I would always, like with elderly people, I'd be in their home and I'd be like, so you have grandkids that come over and stuff? They're like, oh yeah, we always have the grandkids over. I'm like, do they ever spend the night and stuff? Oh yeah, they sleep in those rooms and stuff. Oh, great. And without permission, I put the, cord in their hand and I say, follow me. And I walk into their bedroom, bash open the door, rip the sheets off the bed. They're like, hey, I just made that. And I'm like, trust me, you'll thank me in a second. I plug it in and then I vacuum their mattress and I pull up a big old mess of dirt bugs, dirt mites living under their mattress, eating away at their skin. And I pull it up and I say, this is what your grandkids are sleeping on.
Oh my.
Sale every single time.
That is powerful because you're doing the basic principle of find a hurt and heal it, find a problem and solve it. You were solving you had to show them their pain point is exactly.
People don't know why you're there. They think they're just helping you win a trip to Mexico because that's what we tell everyone at the door. But the truth is they're there to buy a $2,000 vacuum from you only when they see why they need it. And so I got really good in business at showing people why they need my help.
That is very interesting. Do you know who Zig Ziglar is?
Yeah, he's one of my favorite sales coaches of all time. In fact, one of his number one statements that lives within me to this day and repeats every day to me is, if you help enough other people get what they want, you can have everything in life.
When I took myself off my morning radio show in Kansas City because I needed more money, and my boss says, if you want to give yourself a raise, I'll give you a desk in that room, go sell. And then he took the entire sales team to see Zig Ziglar for the first time 50 years ago. And I've seen him probably 12 or more times. I actually saw him the last time he came out in a wheelchair and his daughter wheeled him out after he'd had that fall down the stairs. But the school I went to in Oklahoma City actually has a Zig Ziglar building. And but the reason I'm telling you this story is to your point about Kirby and door to door. You may not be aware of this because the only reason I know this is an elderly lady in my church in Charlotte used to work with Zig Ziglar when he was selling pots and pans door to door, driving around in his Cadillac, selling pots and pans door to door. Before he became the Zig Ziglar that you and I have come to know and love.
Right. With
that prime the pump little thing that he used to do. And all that interesting stuff. That is amazing. I thought you'd appreciate being a big Kirby guy.
Yeah, no, I'm a huge fan of Zig. I've listened to his talks and stuff, and he's just always spot on. His advice is always the most simple advice that we all forget as we go through life. And he brings it back to, like, it's all about adding value. And if you add value and you show people that you selflessly want to help them, the world will figure it out that you're one of those people giving in abundance, and it'll return some type of reward or favor to you. I don't know what it is, but I do know that every day when I finish my calls and I feel good about all the promotions I did, I open up my email and I have 4 or 5 CEOs asking for my help. And it's like, I only do the calls now because I'm afraid if I don't do it, I won't wake up to that. You see what I'm saying? So the lifestyle I've created is because of those trainings.
A parallel story, if you'll indulge me a minute, is I owned a Service Master cleaning company franchise up in New Hampshire when we went right through the savings and loan scandal recession between 1988 and 1992, when a lot of people bailed out, went out of state to find work. And I ended up moving to Charlotte, where there was no recession. There was a building boom. But the reason I tell you that is I was getting ready to sell my franchise because I had to move. I had to get out of town, and the guy walks in trying to sell me a rainbow vacuum cleaner,
Oh,
the one that you put water in and all that.
that's
And
the
so,
worst.
of course, I already own 26 sanitary vacuum cleaners with my franchise and all this other equipment. So as it turns out, he came in to sell me a rainbow vacuum cleaner. I turned around and sold him my entire franchise.
Well, I think you might be the best salesman in the world then.
Well, for at least 10 minutes or so. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just it was one of those things that it was not desperation, but it was, I have to do this. I have to sell this franchise to
Yeah.
the right person. Yeah. So, but
That's the same mentality that I have whenever someone invests in my company. When someone pays for a service, I have the same mentality of, okay, I have to procure this investment, and the only way to do that is fulfill my page one promise. So a lot of people go off on these tangents. Oh, we could do this now that you're my client. Let's do this, that, this. I have a very specific path I take every client on.
right.
And, by the end, it's very clear why I've done what I've done.
Yeah, when I was writing hundreds of radio commercials, the little business owners, I had to train them because they wanted to throw in everything in the kitchen sink into their ad, which was ridiculous.
Right.
So we really had to pare it down, focus it on one thing, and that's what I hear you saying that you're doing. So did we already talk about what your USP is, your unique selling proposition is?
Well, yeah, I mean, in my company, iRankFast is known for that very thing. The USP is that we are the only company in the United States that promises in writing page one organic placements in 90 days or less, despite algorithm updates. If we don't make it happen, you get your money back.
Yeah.
What do you have to lose?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm going to knock on wood right now because, in 6.5 years, I have not had to give a refund.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. Well, how can I help you? How can our audience get in touch with you? Do you have a website you'd like me to share?
Yeah, it's iRankFast.com. It's iRank, RANKFAST.com. People can go on there. They can download my ebook, which I wrote, which really, that ebook that I wrote, even though I've catered it towards realtors, it actually gives away my entire system in that book. Step by step, what to do if you want to get like me, right? Or get like me and my clients. The problem is it's so overwhelming that you'll get halfway through and say, I'm just going to hire him.
So they can download that for free?
You can download it for free. If you're a DIY type and you want to learn it all and be like me, then it's right there on my website, free to download.
No, I'd be more like what you just said. I'd read about half of it and say, I don't have time for this. I'll just call you up.
Yeah, most people get through the first 10 steps or the first 5 or 6 steps and they're like, oh, this is easy. And then they get to a step that requires them to invest a little money and time. And they're like, oh, never mind.
I'm speaking with, who am I speaking with? It's Marshall Adler. He's here live and in person on my podcast. Marshall, it's great to have you as my guest. You might have already answered this question with the flea market thing, but prior to 9 years old, was there a very first job that you ever had before that? I'm just curious. Anything?
No. So that was the first job I ever had when I was 9 years old. I wanted to play with toys, and my dad was like, "No, I need you to sell for me." And so, that was the first job I ever had, and that really took me from a childhood of fantasy roses and fairy tales to this is how life is. You got to get out there and hustle in order to get what you want. And, so that was my first job. But I mean, I've been working ever since then. At 10 years old, I did babysitting from 10 years old to 12. At 13 years old, I used to help my friend. He had a bike, his dad had a bike shop, and I used to like screw on tires and stuff. And then at 14 years old, I got, $17 an hour to mow lawns every day with a lawn mowing company. And that was because that guy was a good family friend and he had a lawn mowing company and wanted to hire me. And I graduated high school when I was 16. Yeah, I challenged the school and I passed.
Nice.
So, I don't say that to brag, but I say that because, you know, it makes sense why I started working at 7.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. Well, it has been an amazing conversation, man. So cool to meet you. We
Yeah.
have so many interesting stories and things in common. And I shared with you about how this guy, Mike Koenig's down in San Diego years ago when he was like, he had nothing better to do than to create this software thing where I didn't know what I was doing and accidentally got my wife's weight loss clinic to 5 places, #1 on Google.
Wow.
And it was all local in the entire county, county-wide areas. And she dominated that page, and I just kind of followed it step by step. Do this, and it was all manual. It wasn't automated. So,
Well, I mean, I'm telling you, if you're that kind of person, you should go to my website and download, you know, that book, because it's free, and it gives you exactly everything that you need to do online if you want to get to a place where the traffic you receive converts at 5% a month. You know, that's like the goal. Because in my company, the bare minimum conversion rate that we see for all clients is about 3% monthly from traffic, from visitor to inquiry. But some clients get 5 to 10% because they've hyper focused on their market. They know exactly who they're targeting.
exactly,
So
yeah.
people can go to iRankFast. They can download my book. They can request a free website analysis, and I'll be happy to take a look at their site. I do video analysis. So I would record a video and say, go page by page and say, change this, fix this, add this, delete this. And by the end, you'll have a site that actually is found on Google.
Wow, very
Yeah,
cool. Marshall, thank you so much for being here. It's been a real pleasure to talk with you and learn all this cool stuff.
Thank you.
I'm passionate about learning, and I'm a lifelong. When I was a teenager, you know, I knew everything, but
Me
now
too.
but now I know less and less. Fanatic about learning as much as I can. So, thanks, Marshall, for being here. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.